Namaskar. Hope you are hale and hearty, taking care of your health and your studies. In our previous video about agriculture, we learned what are the various kinds of crops, the patterns associated with the crops, the climatic conditions which are conducive for various kinds of crops, and the areas which are enriched with certain crops. In today's chapter, we will carry on from here. We will learn new facts about agriculture, the challenges this sector faces, and along with that, the solution the Government of India has come up with. So, let's get going. As in our last video, we discussed about various food crops. Now, we will discuss about non-food crops. The first in the lot is rubber. It is an equatorial crop, but under special conditions. It is also grown in tropical and subtropical areas. It requires moist and humid climate with rainfall of more than 200 centimeters and temperature above 25 degrees Celsius. Rubber is an important industrial raw material. It is mainly grown in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Garo Hills of Meghalaya. In 2010-11, India ranked 4th among the world's natural rubber producers. Fiber crops. Cotton, jute, hemp and natural silk are 4 major fiber crops grown in India. The first 3 are derived from the crops grown in the soil. The latter is obtained from the cocoons of silkworm fed on green leaves, especially mulberry. Rearing of silkworms for the production of silk fiber is known as sericulture. Let's talk about cotton. India is believed to be the original home of the cotton plant. Cotton is one of the main raw material for cotton textile industry. Cotton grows well in drier parts of the black cotton soil of Deccan Plateau. It requires high temperature, light rainfall or irrigation. 210 frost-free days and bright sunshine for its growth. It is a kharif crop and requires 6 to 8 months to mature. Major cotton producing states are Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. From cotton, we move on to jute. It is known as the golden fiber. Jute grows well on well-drained fertile soils in the flood plains where soils are renewed every year. High temperature is required during the time of growth. West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, Odisha and Meghalaya are the major jute producing states. It is used in making gunny bags, mats, ropes, yarn, carpets and other artifacts. Due to its high cost, it is losing market to synthetic fibers and packing material, particularly the nylon. Talking about the technological and institutional reforms to the agriculture sector, it was mentioned in the previous pages that agriculture has been practiced in India for thousands of years. Sustained uses of land without compatible techno-institutional changes have hindered the pace of agricultural development. In spite of development of sources of irrigation, most of the farmers in large parts of the country still depend upon monsoon and natural fertility in order to carry on their agriculture. For a growing population, this poses a serious threat. Agriculture, which provides livelihood for more than 60% of its population, needs some serious technical and institutional reforms. Thus, collectivization, consolidation of holdings, corporations and abolition of Zimedari etc. were given priority to bring about institutional reforms in the country after independence. Land reform was the main focus of our first 5-year plan. The right of inheritance had already led to fragmentation of land holding, necessitating consolidation of holdings. The laws of land reforms were enacted, but the laws of implementation was lacking or lukewarm. The Government of India embarked upon introducing agriculture reforms to improve Indian agriculture in 1960s and 1970s. A major breakthrough came with the form of Green Revolution. The Green Revolution, based on the use of package technology, The White Revolution, which is also known as Operation Flood, were some of the strategies initiated to improve the lot of Indian agriculture. But this too led to the concentration of development in very few selected areas. Therefore, in 1980s and 1990s, a comprehensive land development program was initiated which included both institutional and technical reforms, provision for crop insurance against drought, flood, cyclone, fire and disease, establishment of Grameen Bank, cooperative societies and banks for providing loan facilities to the farmers at lower rate of interest were some important steps in this direction. Kisan Credit Card, personal accidental insurance are some other schemes introduced by the Government of India for the benefit of the farmers. Moreover, special weather bulletins and agricultural programs for farmers were introduced on the radio and television. The government also announces minimum support price, remunerative and procurement prices for important crops to check the exploitation of farmers by speculators and middlemen. Talking about food security, we all are aware that food is a basic need and every citizen of the country should have access to food which provides minimum nutritional level. If any segment of our population does not have this access, the segment suffers from lack of food security. The number of people who do not have food security is disproportionately large in some regions of our country, particularly in economically less developed states with higher incidence of poverty. The remote areas of country are more prone to natural disasters and uncertain food supply. In order to ensure availability of food to all sections of society, our government carefully designed a national food security system. It consists of two components, buffer stock and public distribution system. You must be aware that public distribution system is a program which provides food grains and other essential commodities at subsidized prices in rural and urban areas. India's food security policy has a primary objective to ensure availability of food grains to the common people at an affordable price. It has enabled the poor to have access to food. The focus of the policy is on growth in agricultural production and on fixing the support price for procurement of wheat and rice to maintain their stocks. Food Corporation of India, or FCI, which is well known, is responsible for procuring and stocking food grains, whereas distribution is ensured by Public Distribution System known as PDS. The FCI procures food grains from the farmers at government announced minimum support price. The government used to provide subsidized on the agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, power and water. These subsidies have now reached unsustainable levels and have also led to large scale inefficiencies in the use of these scarce inputs. Excessive and imprudent use of fertilizers and water has led to waterlogging, salinity and depletion of essential micronutrients in the soil. The high MSP subsidies in inputs and committed FCI purchases have distorted the cropping pattern. Wheat and paddy crops are being grown more for the MSP they get. Punjab and Haryana are foremost examples. This has also created a serious imbalance in intercrop parities. We already know that consumers are divided into two categories, one below poverty line and other above poverty line. With the issue price being different for each category, the categorization is not perfect and a number of deserving poor have been excluded from the BPL category. However, some of the so-called APL slip back to BPL because of the failure of even one crop, and it is administratively difficult to accommodate such shifts. Each district and block can be made self-sufficient in food grain production if government provides proper agricultural infrastructure, credit linkage and also encourages the use of latest techniques. Instead of concentrating only on rice or wheat, the food crop with a better growth potential in that particular area must be encouraged. Creation of necessary infrastructure like the irrigation facility, availability of electricity may also attract private investment in agriculture. The focus on increasing food grain production, which should be on a sustainable basis, and also free trade in grains will create massive employment and reduce poverty in the rural areas. There has been a gradual shift from cultivation of food crops to cultivation of fruits, vegetables, oilseeds and industrial crops. This has led to the reduction in net sown areas under cereals and pulses. With the growing population of India, the declining food production puts a big question mark over the country's future food security. The competition of land between non-agriculture uses such as housing and agriculture has resulted in reduction in the net sown area. The productivity of land has started showing a declining trend. Fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides, which once showed dramatic results, are now being held responsible for degrading the soils. Periodic scarcity of water has led to the reduction in area under irrigation. Inefficient water management has led to the waterlogging and salinity. One important reason in land degradation, free power to a section of farmers has encouraged them to pump groundwater to grow water intensive crops in low rainfall areas like in Punjab when they grow rice and sugarcane in Maharashtra. The unsustainable pumping has reduced water storage in aquifers. Consequently, many wells and tube wells have run dry. This has pushed the marginal and small farmers out of the cultivation. The big farmers with deeper tube wells still have water, but many others face a water crisis. Inadequate storage and marketing facilities also act as disincentive to the farmer. Thus, the farmers are badly affected by the uncertainties of production and market. They suffer from a double disadvantage as they pay high prices for inputs such as HYV seeds, fertilizers, but lack the bargaining power to fix prices in their favor. All the production reaches the market simultaneously. The higher the supply, the lower is the demand. This causes distress sale also. Therefore, there can be no food security without the security of the small farmers. Now, we will talk about globalization and agriculture. Now, this globalization is not a new phenomenon. It was there at the time of colonization. In the 19th century, when European traders came to India, at that time too, Indian spices were exported to different countries of the world, and farmers of South India were encouraged to grow these crops. Till today, it is one of the important items of export from India. During the British period, cotton belts of India attracted the British, and ultimately cotton was exported to Britain as a raw material for their textile industries. Cotton textile industry in Manchester and Liverpool flourished due to availability of good quality cotton from India. You must have heard about the Champaran movement, which started in 1917 in Bihar. This was started because farmers of that region were forced to grow indigo on their land because it was necessary for textile industry which were located in Britain. They were unable to grow food grains to sustain their families. Under globalization, particularly after 1990, the farmers in India have been exposed to new challenges. Despite being an important producer of rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, jute and spices, our agricultural products are not able to compete with the developed countries. Because of the highly subsidized agriculture in those countries, today Indian agriculture finds itself at the crossroads. To make agriculture successful and profitable, we have certain solutions. Proper thrust should be given to the improvement of condition of marginal and small farmers. The Green Revolution promised much, but today it's under controversies. It is being alleged that it has caused land degradation due to overuse of chemicals, drying aquifers and vanishing biodiversity. The key words today is gene revolution, which includes genetic engineering. In fact, organic farming is much in vogue today because it is practiced without factory-made chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides. Hence, it does not affect environment in negative manner. A few economists think that Indian farmers have a bleak future if they continue growing food grains on holding that grow smaller and smaller as the population rises. Indian farmers should diversify their cropping pattern from cereal to high-value crops. This will increase income and reduce environmental degradation simultaneously because fruits, medicinal herbs, flowers, vegetables, biodiesel crops like jatopra and jojoba needs much less irrigation than rice or sugarcane. India's diverse climate can be harnessed to grow a wide range of high-value crops. Change in cropping pattern, for example, from cereals to high-value crops will mean that India will have to import food. During 1960s, this would have been seen as a disaster. But if India imports cereals while exporting high-value commodities, it will be following successful economies like Italy, Israel and Chile. These countries export farm products which are fruit, olives, specialty seeds and wine and import cereals. Are we ready to take a risk? The debate is open for the discussion. On your screens you can find a question followed by 4 options. You have to pick the correct option. So let's get going. So which of the following crop is an important raw material for automobile industry? Pulses, ragi, rubber or none of the above? Very easy, it is rubber, which is an important raw material for the automobile industry. Moving on, rearing of silkworms for the production of silk fiber is known as sericulture, aquaculture, apiculture or pisciculture. Yes, it is called sericulture. Which of the following is known as golden fiber? Cotton, jute, hemp or silk? Very right, it is jute. Which one of the following is announced by government in support of a crop? Is it maximum support price, minimum support price, moderate support price or influential support price? Yes, it is minimum support price or MSP. Plantation agriculture is a type of subsistence farming, commercial farming, mixed farming or none of the above. Plantation agriculture is a type of commercial farming. Alright, let's play a very small game. It is a crossword. You can see on your screens there are clues given to you. Let's see the first clue. The 2 staple food crops of India. Let's try to locate which are these? Very right, it is rice and wheat. So let's locate that in this grid. Yes, there we see rice and wheat. So this is the summer cropping season of India. Yes, it is Kharif. Let's try to find this word. Very good. Alright, moving on. Pulses like arhar, moong, gram, urad contain protein. Yes, you can see it. Protein. Let's try to find it in the grid. Right. Alright. So this is a coarse grain. Jowar. Can we find jowar in the grid? Yes, we can. Very good. So the 5th is the main important beverage in India are, very easy, tea and coffee. Let's try to locate that in the grid. Yes, there it is. The last question is one of the 4 major fibers grown on black soil. Yes, it is cotton. Let's find where we can find it in the grid. Correct. Hope today's session was fruitful for you. Agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. Long time back, when our late Prime Minister Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji gave the slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, he defined the role of the farmer of this country. The farmer of this country is a warrior, and we should respect them with all our hearts. With this, we come to the end of this video. We'll be back with many more new sessions. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep studying. Namaskar.